Unburdened by what has been.
Be unburdened by what has been.
Unburdened by what has been. Unburdened by what has been.
The Hill's reporting that Kamala Harris is leaning towards running for California governor, ready to serve up her signature word salad all over the Golden State. Speaking of losers, the ladies of The View are coming to grips with how Sonny cost Kamala the election.
Sonny, it's Sonny's fault she didn't win.
Sonny, we can't ignore the fact that you may have single-handedly taken down the Democratic Party. Some would say democracy itself. With one question.
I knew it instantly when she answered it, which is why I asked the follow-up question. Is there one thing? You know, because I knew, I could see the soundbite and I knew what was going to happen. But I thought it was a really fair question, and I thought it was a question that she would expect.
It wasn't a gotcha question.
It shouldn't have been a gotcha question.
How will Kamala do running for governor of California?
Well, I think it's very arrogant of her to think that she can spend all this time waiting to make a decision, and then once she does, it's going to clear the field. I think that Democrats are have a really bad taste in their mouth about her overall, but especially in California. One of the cabinet members in the Biden administration, part of the cover-up, Javier Becerra, who was also like in witness protection programs. Anyone remember things during the Biden administration? They didn't even have cabinet meetings, hardly did anything there. He's already declared that he's going to be a candidate. So it's going to be a big race, and I don't think that somebody who speaks like she does not like to make decisions, does not like to get prep, has to do practice cocktail hours in order to get ready to do an event, and then you think about her going to do interviews. How is she going to answer the Biden cover-up questions?
She's never answered.
Right.
She has never answered for that, has she?
No, she has not, and everyone, as the California resident on the panel today, I'll say this. First of all, she didn't even pass the California bar. So how does she expect to be governor? And I say that because I did pass the bar in the first try, unlike her. Every chance I get, I about that up. So here's the key. A well-placed source, essentially, close to her, says she has a lot of people in her ear telling her it makes the most sense and she can do the most good. That's the point. It's her inner close circle that is telling her that's a good idea, because clearly the American people gave her the message to the lowest approval rating in vice presidential history at 34.8%. And the biggest message was when you didn't win the presidential election. So she's going back to the briar patch, because if there is any pool of people who would actually think she would do good, it would be California. But the thoughtful California voter, the people who were from there, know that she was the #1 recipient of tech lobbying money. She talks a big game about victims' rights, but she actually burned a lot of bridges with that group because of her being in bed with tech and the like. And she talked that big game about being, the prosecutor and the attorney general, but all of the law enforcement feel a whole heck of a lot different than anything that she's put forth. So at the end of the day, I think, I'll say this final point. She shares a donor class and a donor pool with Gavin Newsom. And up until now, they've done this frenemies dance quite successfully. You run for this, then I'll run for this. And if he's eyeing 2028 presidential, that means she thinks all she can do is the governor of California, but she will be handed a loss if someone true to Becerra, a former LA mayor, anyone is a better candidate. Marginally, she will fail utterly, and then maybe then she'll go away.
Do you think she risks losing the governorship of California, Harold?
Maybe. I think everyone has a right to run whatever they want to run for. She did not run a particularly good race for president both times. And she has, however, run really, really good races when she runs in California. So maybe that's something on her mind. This is also a tradition in politics, and certainly in California. Richard Nixon, who obviously is a Republican, lost the race for presidency in 1960 to then Senator Kennedy. Lost the governor's race in California in 1962, and then came back and won the presidency in 1968. President H.W. Bush, one of my heroes in politics, ran in 1980, he didn't win. Ronald Reagan put him as vice president, he came back and ran in 88 and won. So this is something that happens, but I think what you all are really getting at, and what I wonder is two things. Why do you want to run? What is it that you think you can offer to the people of California over the next 4 years, over the next 6 years, whenever the race is, different from Antonio De La Rosa and others that may be running, and even Republicans, that's going to make the lives of Californians better.
Well, she won't
Let me finish. But also hope on a different note, but similar. One of the reasons we don't get and this is not a comment about her, but one of the reasons it's so hard to get the best qualified and the most able people to run for politics because of all the attacks and vitriol around politics. I hope some of that decreases, and I hope as we address her and her deficiencies, that we address her deficiencies as a candidate and what she chooses to offer. And I hope that on both sides, the personal leveling of attacks gets to a minimum, because we in this country, if there's a thing we need most now in politics, it's the best people running for office.